Hello friends, my name is Lauren and I am the maker behind Vintage Knitting Party. Welcome back to Make, Do and Mend, a series in which I endeavour to work through all of the materials and stash that I have in this room. Everything that I make, I try to do with sustainability at the front of my mind. That means that every time that I go to a secondhand store or an antique store or I'm trawling through Facebook Marketplace, if I find something that I think I can use, I often snap it up. That has meant that I have accumulated quite a bit of stuff, which is not a bad thing, but to me it's getting to the point where it doesn't quite feel sustainable anymore. So I have written down every project that I can think of. I've put them all in this pumpkin and I am allowing the pumpkin to decide what it is that I do next. It's a beautiful overcast rainy day today. I'm so happy to be wearing knitwear even though we're technically meant to be in summer. But I am really craving a sewing project, so I'm hoping that's what we end up with today. Okay, so we've ended up with a make project, which means that we are using fabric or yarn in my stash to make something from scratch. And the fabric that we're using is a brown corduroy, so let me get it for you. I picked up this brown cord secondhand from a Lifeline op shop near me. It is a beautiful chocolatey brown colour. It just looks like a really nice weight of corduroy. It's got a really wonderful backing and it's quite thick without being too overwhelming. I think my machine's going to handle it fairly well, although it will be very fluffy afterwards. And the project that I have been imagining with this skirt is a button-down mini. So something that I can wear in winter with tights, long enough to be able to wear to work, but short enough that it's kind of within my comfort zone because that's the silhouette of garment that I prefer. I think it would look really cute even with sweaters like the one that I'm wearing today. And from memory, I'm not sure whether I have a skirt pattern in my stash that I already want to use or whether I just want to draft my own skirt block, which is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. So maybe this is a good opportunity to just do that. It sounds scary though. Okay, I'll get back to you soon and let you know what we're doing.
Now I had a look through my patterns and it turns out that I don't actually have a pattern that is going to suit what I want. I've decided to opt out of buttons and I'm just going to be making an A-line skirt. I'm making my own block using this book, Metric Pattern Cutting for Women's Wear. There's a really good recipe inside here for just a simple skirt block that I'm going to be adjusting to fit my measurements. I've made a little page in my journal for the project with a line drawing, a fabric swatch, and a little section for notes as well. And I have my fabric ready to go. So exciting!
Hello, just checking back in again. I have drafted out my pattern. I've taken my body measurements. I figured out the ease that I want. I figured out the style that I want. I'm going for an A-line kind of style and I'm basing it off of a skirt that I already own, which I really love the design of. It's just a simple A-line skirt with a zipper in the back and then a waistband that crosses over in the top with a button closure. Here's my mess. Yay. It's coming along really well. I'm really excited about it. And now I'm going to cut out the pattern pieces and my fabric.
Here I am just cutting out my pattern pieces. You can see that I've laid these out a little bit strangely. This is just to make as much use of the corduroy as possible while adhering to the nap of the fabric. I think with the leftovers I might end up making a couple of heat packs for myself and my friends. I sewed up the side seams off camera and here I am trimming one side of the seam allowance for a flat felled seam. I'm going to leave the other side of the seam allowance at its original length and fold it over twice in order to create the flat felled seam. This is a really easy method. You can find many more tutorials on YouTube that will explain it much better than I am. Here I am sewing down that flat felled seam onto the side seam of my skirt. I thought this would be the neatest way to finish the side seams. Here it looks on the inside, so nice and neat. And here it looks on the outside of the skirt. I'm so happy with how this came together. I actually completely forgot to complete the darts on the back of the skirt, so here I am finishing off those. At the end of the dart, I tied them in a double knot to avoid puckering. Here is my zipper. This is just an 18cm zipper that I found in my stash. I completed the zipper off camera It is really difficult to open a zipper one-handed for you guys. You can see on the inside that the seam along the zipper opening is still raw. And I actually am going to finish that with this bias tape. I did the Hong Kong seams, and although it's not my finest work, I do think it looks fairly neat. I don't think there's another seam finish that would have looked as nice as this, and the color match is just amazing. Everything sticks to the corduroy. I've got my darts, I've got my flat felled seam, and this is coming together really professionally. I think I'm going to be finishing my hem with a bound hem with this giant bias tape that I have in my stash. I just think it'll work better with the corduroy than a double fold hem, which would be too big and bulky.
I'm fairly happy with myself. I finished the waistband off camera because my camera battery died. Amazing. And I stitched in a buttonhole and a button to come like over the top of where the zipper is. I'll show you some close-ups. But I'm pretty happy with myself. Okay, so it's been 3 hours exactly since I sat down and filmed the intro and pulled the little card out of the pumpkin. And hang on 1 second. And now I have a skirt. It's so freaking cute. I'm over the moon. This is crazy to me. For the longest time, I kind of thought that this like mini A-line kind of shape just didn't suit me because when I do put on weight, I put it on around my middle. But like, excuse me, this is so cute. And I'm quite a tall human, so I can make it the perfect length. Like this is definitely a mini, but I can wear her to work with some stockings and boots. Okay, we're back in my sewing room just to have a chat. I'm trying to contain my excitement because I'm just so amazed that this worked out so well. Okay, I have a couple of things to say. Why on earth have I never made a skirt block based on my measurements before? Oh my gosh, it was crazy. I have quite an extreme, like I said, like I put on weight around my middle when I do, and then I have quite a big difference between my waist measurement and my upper hip, but then my actual hips, like sort of down more on my legs, are quite slender, so then my body goes straight back in again, which is so freaking weird. Pants never fit me, ever. Skirts, never. Like only if they're super loosey-goosey and flowy. So to be able to make a skirt block that is actually based on my measurements was crazy. So crazy. And to be able to decide like where I want to put different seam finishes and things like that was just amazing. I made this using only supplies that I had in the room already. So let me get my calculator and figure out how much this would have cost in total. So the fabric was $5. It still had the little tag on it from Lifeline. The darker brown bias tape and the thinner bias tape that I used on the zipper, I got each of those for $1 each from the Nest, but I only used a portion of both, so I'm just going to say that that was $1 in total. I bought the zip for $1. It was an 18 centimeter zip that I just already had in my stash. And the button that I used was just one from, like, I just got a giant like bucket of buttons from my local op shop one day, and it was just one of the lonely larger sized ones, so I got it. I think I bought the entire like jar for like 50 cents, so I don't really know how to count that. And then with thread and stuff, like, I don't know, maybe I'll just add another 50 cents to that. Was there anything else that I used? No, I don't think so. That's $7.50. Are you kidding me? For this skirt? It fits me amazingly. I'm over the moon. I'm so amazed. I finished the waistband off camera because my camera battery died and it needed to charge because we're precious, and that's okay. I just folded up, it was like a fold over waistband, and I tucked up the seam allowance on either side, and I just tucked the skirt into the waistband and top stitched everything down together. I was actually only planning on top stitching down the outer section so that that would have a neat finish, and then going along and whip stitching by hand on the inner waistband to secure that down, because I thought there is no way my machine is going to make it through 5 layers of corduroy. It actually did. I was like, I really want to wear this tonight now that it's coming along quite speedily. Like oh I'll give it a go. Like, I'll just be cheeky, it'll be fine. And it actually worked, which I'm really, really happy about. The last thing that I want to say is that I do not consider myself an expert knitter or sewer. I would say I'm intermediate. Like, I don't really these days come up against skills that I don't know how to do, either by just glancing at them and just knowing off the top of my head how to do them because I've got a bit of experience, or, you know, if I do have to Google something, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense, okay. You know, I never really get stumped with my knitting or sewing anymore. The reason I wouldn't say that I'm an expert sewer or knitter is because I think when you do these crafts for years and years and years and decades, you just develop like a real muscle memory for certain techniques, and you just have this knowledge that no, like that type of fabric won't work with that pattern, or it doesn't have enough drape, or like the size of that print won't look good on that type of dress, or, you know, whatever it is. Even I think with your own body, like knowing what works for you and what doesn't work for you, what colors work, what textures you like to wear and things like that. I think all of that comes into like your skill level as a maker if you're making garments for yourself. This gave me a big confidence boost, and I think I really needed it because the last couple of projects that I've made just haven't turned out well. There's one that I had to scrap altogether, which has just made me so miserable and it's so demotivating. Obviously, like, a lot of my wardrobe I made, like, I have success, but like just recently I don't know what it is. I just haven't been having a good run. I've been trying a lot of new patterns, and all the ones from the big four, that just the sizing is so bad, and, you know, I've been trying styles that I don't normally wear, and maybe that's just not a smart decision, but this skirt I will just get so much wear out of. I already have a similar one that is beautiful and I love it. It's like a red velvet one. Real Christmassy vibes, actually. I should remember that, but it isn't as flattering as this skirt because the shape is just not made for my body, and like that's not a bad thing, like that it was made for somebody else, I suppose, like some other type of body. But I'm just so proud of myself, and I'm going to an event tonight with my friends for work, and I'm going to be wearing it with this sweater. It'll be the first time I'm wearing this sweater out of the house, and there is just nothing better than wearing an entire me-made outfit. Now I'm gonna go set up some like reveal shots for you guys so that you can have a little look at the skirt in action. It's just me today, so it's just gonna be me filming in my house, but I'm sure you guys will be okay with that. Thank you so much.